Because I've run into a number of people, even in like the last 2 weeks. Oh yeah, I tried being vegan and I got sick and this happened and that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what?
Two supplements that you recommend most vegans should take, or all vegans should take.
Anybody that's listening to this that's vegan, you have a great gift.
What about vegan omega? What do you think about that? Algae based supplements. This is very interesting. I'm so sorry to interject here, but this is so damn interesting.
My dad went to pull the fish out of the water and killed him in front of me, and I threw a fit. I was so upset by what I saw that I threw myself down on the dock. I begged and pleaded for him to put the fish back in the water.
Hello, everyone. Today we have John Thomas with us, also known as the vegan bodybuilding guy. And as you can see, he is jacked. And I love jacked vegans because they kill this narrative that where do vegans get protein from and vegans are weak and so on and so forth. Jack really, so this is like I'm super excited for today, and I'm looking to get tips to get jacked. So that being said, John, I'll try to control my emotions here and let you give a brief introduction about yourself to the audience.
Uh, Shivam, thank you for having me on, brother. Don't control your emotions. That's part of what makes you human and compassionate. Like, let's let those emotions flow. I'm very open-minded. I'm very relaxed when I'm not in the gym or working. When it's something like this, I'm just happy to share this human experience with you and hopefully give some value to both you and anybody listening and tuning into this. So. Yeah, my official name, thanks to my parents, was John Thomas. It's a very common name in the United States. There's probably thousands of me, but my stage name, if you will, the persona, like John Thomas is almost like Bruce Wayne, and then I have my Batman. For me, that's the bodybuilding vegan, which is funny because you and many other people actually have a friend that made me a painting, and they said the vegan bodybuilder. And in my heart, I am a vegan that bodybuilds. I'm not a bodybuilder that vegans. Vegan came first
Nice.
for me, which also surprises a lot of people. We'll probably get more into the backstory, but I actually
Yeah.
started being vegan 2 years before I ever touched a weight. So when people look at me, I say, hey,
Oh,
like none of this was built
so hold
using
on, hold
animal
on,
products.
hold on. You're saying that you went vegan first and then went into
Yes.
bodybuilding. Oh
Yes.
wow.
Yes. Yep, I had never
Really?
even picked up a weight when I decided to go vegan.
So
It
essentially,
was
because this is very interesting. I'm so sorry to interject here, but this is so damn interesting because I know most people who were into fitness or into
yep,
bodybuilding and then they become vegan. So I always had this doubt in the back of my mind that what if someone started their journey of putting on muscles um, right from like right after becoming vegan, right? And you are
yeah,
that person, so that's really good. So all this, all the size that you have put on, that you have done that as a vegan, that's really good, man.
yeah. No animal protein here, no animal products. I was actually vegetarian for 3 years before I went vegan, so
Oh.
even longer.
Hmm.
Um, but I do like to challenge people a little bit, and like I say, hey, look at like a horse. How big of a legs do horses have, or rhinos, or elephants? A
Yeah.
lot of the largest land mammals that contain a lot of muscle, and even the animals that people eat. People eat
Yeah.
bulls, they eat cows. Those are big muscular creatures, and they don't eat meat to get there. They get all their amino acids from plants. So
Yeah.
it can be done, and not just can be done. I think it's the healthier way. I think if you're trying to be in any sport for long term, keeping your inflammation a bit lower, not getting all the saturated fat and cholesterol that you get from animal proteins, not getting all the
Yeah.
bad hormones from dairy.
Yeah.
So I just think it's kind of like that new frontier. It hasn't really been explored that much, but
Hmm.
we're starting to get in there. I think athletes like myself are kind of that first generation. And I think in the future we'll have those second and third generations of people with
Yeah.
more knowledge achieving even more on vegan diets.
Nice. And how long have you been a bodybuilder?
I've been bodybuilding for over half my life now. It's kind of crazy. Like you never know like when something's going to become your thing. Like I don't know, there's probably a guitar player listening to this and they probably didn't know that time that they touched the guitar the first time that was going to be their thing. And for me, I had always been active. I had played soccer in elementary school, or football in the rest of the world, the one where you kick the ball. And then I had wrestled a little bit in high school, so kind of like some contact sports. But I love wrestling because at the end of the season, they showed us, hey, you guys are going to lift weights so you're stronger next year to wrestle. And well, next year to wrestle never happened. At 15 years old, I fell in love with lifting weights. I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to get bigger. And so now I'm 32 at the time of this recording. So if my math's right, that's 17 years of lifting weights with the intention of getting bigger and stronger. And I didn't immediately jump into bodybuilding as like posing and competing, but it was always to get bigger and stronger. And so, yeah, I've probably been bodybuilding more or less for 17 years. I'll put it this way. I had the flu 2 years ago, and that kept me in the house for 6 days. And that's the longest I've been out of the gym in 17 years. I've never
Nice.
taken more than a week off ever for any reason. I just love it. Like it probably would even benefit me to take a week off, but I just love going. So yeah, for me, and yeah, back to what we were saying with the traveling, I don't go every day, but I try to go 3 to 4 days a week, even while we're traveling. But the days that I'm not going, I'm usually hiking a mountain, so I'm still getting activity.
Yeah. So essentially, you started lifting weights at the age of around 17, and then
Uh,
you became
15,
15.
15, and I've
So
done it for 17 years, so a little over
17
half
years.
my life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then you went vegan at the age of what, 13 or so?
correct. 13.
Oh wow. And that's pretty young. And what was the story behind going vegan? What triggered you?
Oh, I love this. I've told this story probably a few thousand times now, but
Yeah.
I like it. It's my story, and everybody has a different story. But
Yeah.
so I'm going to give the long one, if that's okay. I
Yeah. Yeah.
was 4 years old, and my dad took us to a cabin, and he asked me, "Do you want to eat fish?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, because I like fish. I like how it tasted." At 4 years old, there's different words like in the English language that have different meanings. Like the word "two" can mean like two
Mm.
apples, or I'm going to the store, or I had one too many beers. Like it can mean a lot of different things. So I think at 4 years old, I knew there were fish that swim in the water, and I also knew there was this food called fish. Well, my dad went to pull the fish out of the water and killed them in front of me, and I threw a fit. I was so upset by what I saw that I threw myself down on the dock. I begged and pleaded for him to put the fish back in the water. And my dad was a very good dad, I think, and he didn't want his son to be upset. So he put the fish back in the water.
Mm.
I probably went and ate a ham sandwich and didn't realize ham was a pig. And I hadn't seen the process of
Mm.
where my food came from. So that was not me going vegan, but that was the earliest memory that I can recollect that I think I had those tendencies. And I think we all do. I don't think I'm getting long winded here, but I don't think it's we one day wake up and decide to go vegan. I
Mm.
think it's we one day wake up and realize we've been forced our whole lives to eat meat.
Mm.
And so at 10 years old, my best friend Tommy Ray came over. Her mom would always bring us lunch. I think it was McDonald's that day.
Mm.
And she said, if you eat that hamburger, you know you're killing a cow, right?
Mm.
And I got angry. I got upset, like not yelling. I mean, I was a kid, but like, well, my mom eats it, your mom eats it, everybody else eats this way. It's the circle of life, all these excuses. And I knew they
Mm.
were excuses because
Mm.
I didn't want to change at that time. But she
Mm.
planted a seed, and I realized logically she's correct. How do you get a hamburger without killing a cow? Unless it's a veggie
Mm.
burger, you have
Mm.
to kill a cow.
Mm.
And so I slowly started cutting out different animals out of my diet until the big American holiday, Thanksgiving, came around. Turkey was my favorite meat. And there was a turkey on the table, and I was like, you know
Mm.
what? I don't eat anything else. Why would I eat a turkey? A turkey deserves to live too. I'm done.
Mm.
So that at
Mm.
10 years old was me going vegetarian.
Vegetarian. Mm.
And I thought that was it because, you don't kill cows to take milk, right? You don't kill chickens to take eggs. Well, fast
Mm.
forward 3 years, on the way to middle school, my mom hands me this PETA magazine. She's like, oh, you might find some recipes in here because my mom was always trying to support me. And I remember seeing an article saying, like, vegetarian isn't enough. And I'm like,
Mm.
nah, I'm smart. I know what I'm doing is right. I know vegetarian's right. Let me go
Mm.
read this article and prove them wrong. By the time I got through the article, I realized all the cows that are dairy cows end up being killed and turned to hamburgers anyways. What happens to their babies is horrible. What happens to them as mothers is horrible. Same thing in the egg industry. Basically, anywhere money and animals are involved together is horrible. So I told my mom, I'm going to try being vegan for a week.
Hmm.
It's now going on. It'll be 20 years this year. And I
Nice.
sincerely believe it was the single best decision of my life. It's given me a career. It's given me purpose. It's given me family, chosen family.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's given me about the best conscience that I could get to be able to sleep and know that I wasn't directly contributing to the death of an animal. Now, I will say, at 13, I went vegan. I thought I had it all figured out, right? You know, that's it. You go vegan, you're done. Around 28 years old, I realized that, oh, I've never donated to a charity once in my life.
Hmm.
And so that was the next step in the vegan journey for me, was donating to vegan charities, vegan sanctuaries, people that do outreach, realizing that just being vegan alone and not really helping anyone else, it doesn't kill any animals, but it doesn't really save any.
Same.
Like you're not saving, like I'm not saving humans every day just because I don't go out and commit a mass
Yeah.
murder. That's
Yeah.
just not committing a mass murder. And then around 30 years old, I really started to get into activism. So I've only been into activism for maybe 2 years now. I did get the word vegan tattooed on the side of my head in a way to raise about $9,000 for an animal sanctuary. I mean, full disclosure, people, I wanted the tattoo anyways, but to be able to tie it into a live stream that raised $9,000, that helps me sleep at night. I've done some other things. A couple months back, I did a 50-mile walk to raise money again for an animal sanctuary, raise awareness. And the number of people that weren't vegan, that
Yeah.
probably never will go vegan, but still donated money to help save animals' lives. It's like when
Hmm.
people are presented with the opportunity to do the right choice and you make it easy, like click here to donate,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to get them on board. And so I guess getting very long-winded, my vegan story now is me as an activist and trying to meet with people like yourself and actually get into some street activism that I can repurpose for content that will hit people on the street, but also people online. That's where I'm at. And I think maybe in a couple of years, I'll have another level up. I'm not sure what that will be. But as of
Yeah.
now, I feel like I got it all figured out. I'm a vegan activist. I think that's the best thing that I can do. If I were to die tomorrow or the second this podcast is done, I don't really have any regrets. I live every day as if tomorrow might not be here because it might not. We all could have a heart attack in our sleep or just not wake up or
Hmm.
asteroid hits in this city that we're in. And so I want every day to count. And I feel like being here on this podcast with you,
Yeah.
getting to share some of my story and really not for me. I don't care so much about myself. I'd probably happily, no, I would happily take a bullet to the head right now if the rest of the world promised to go vegan. I would do it. It'd make my life very easy. Like, what better choice would there be? I would make more impact in one moment than an entire lifetime.
Yeah.
So for me, I try to do this, and what I'm now at, what I'm now realizing, instead of trying to convince everyone to go vegan, like that's hard. Trying to get somebody that's a hunter or a butcher or whatever, trying to get them to go vegan is a little bit hard. We have to rechange their whole framework. Not impossible, but what I found is easier is targeting people like myself. I was vegan. I've been vegan almost 20 years. I've only been really outwardly speaking about it for 2.
Hmm.
What if I could go back in time and find myself 10 years ago and say, hey, dude, you can be an activist. You
Hmm.
can speak up about this. You can do more. Anybody that's listening to this that's vegan, you have a great gift. You have the gift of sharing veganism with someone else. Someone
Hmm.
shared it with me. Whoever wrote that PETA article gave me that
Yeah.
gift. And I never wish that that gift was given to me later. I wish I had heard it earlier. You could have
Hmm.
explained veganism to me at 4 years old. I would have gotten it. It
Hmm.
would have stick. It would have stuck. And so my goal now is to try and encourage other vegans to speak up and share that gift with other people. Because if I convince one person to go vegan, that's one thing. But if I can convince one vegan to become an activist that could
Hmm.
convince 100 people to go vegan,
Hmm.
that I think has more change. So I sincerely urge anyone listening to this that's vegan, like speak up. Don't be me. Don't wait 20 years
Yeah.
to like find your voice. You have a
Yeah.
voice. You were born with it. The animals, they don't have a voice, but you do. So speak
Yeah.
it and give that gift to anybody that's receptive to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very important message, that being vegan is a neutral position. Like you rightly said,
Yes.
we don't go out and harm other human beings, and that doesn't take anything away from us, right? That's expected from a decent human being, not to exploit someone else. So from that perspective, of course, being vegan is a neutral position. But that being said, being an activist is one step ahead, because we can truly save all the animals only if the whole world or the majority of the world goes vegan. And for that to happen, we need more and more vegans to speak up for the animals. And while animals speak, but humans are deaf to their suffering, humans are deaf to their screams, and that's why it's very important for us to speak. And yeah, and you are doing such an amazing work in this space now, and like you said, you want to get more into activism. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of synergy between your work and what we do at Vegan FTA. We can explore all the opportunities, of course. And yeah, that being said, there's another thing which you said, which struck me, and which is very important. And I want to underline that for the listeners here, that John said that wherever there is money involved and animal products involved, there is exploitation. And I was reading this article the other day, which had a line which was something like this: that animal use will always lead to animal abuse. And that is something very, very important to note, that because we live in a society where everything, almost everything, rests on animal exploitation. So to change this society, there is so much to be done from our end, right? And
Yes.
John, really looking forward to your street activism videos. I'm sure they will turn out to be great, like a bodybuilder talking to
Yeah.
people, probably talking about protein. Yeah,
Well, actually, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cliff Grant. I think he's in the
I know.
UK.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I love his style of activism. He will wear neutral clothes and he'll
yeah,
hold a sign that says something along the lines of
yeah,
animal abuse should be legalized or should be
yeah,
legal. And what I think he does a great job is people come up to him ready to fight him and say why animal abuse is wrong.
yeah,
And what they don't realize is they've walked up to a mirror.
yeah,
They're pointing in the mirror saying animal abuse is wrong and here's why. And then he just says their words back to them. And
yeah,
then they realize they're not fighting Cliff. They realize they're fighting themselves and their own beliefs. And then that gives them a chance to change. Because if you tell yourself you can do better, I know you can do better. It's different than somebody else saying, "Hey, you're wrong." So
absolutely.
I think I might try to copy his activism. I did want to
Yeah,
hit on a couple points. Thank you
yeah,
for correcting me. Animals can speak. We
yeah,
are just not smart enough or compassionate enough to always hear them. But
yeah,
animals can speak.
yeah,
Right now, with the way society's set up, we as humans have the ability to make the change. It's not on the animals to change things. It's on us. It's our
yeah,
I think it's our. I listened and spoke with another activist, and she told me that really it's us repaying our debts. Unless we were born vegan, we
mhm,
owe it to the animals we ate before to speak up for the other animals now. It's a way to, kind of cleanse ourselves of maybe the things we didn't even know were wrong. Our parents forced us to eat meat, but we still did it. And
yeah.
so it's a way to, at least for me, to feel good about what I'm doing, to feel good at night. Um, I had a couple more, but I forgot them. So we can um,
No
we can
worries.
keep moving forward. But
Yeah, yeah, we'll come to that. And since you are
oh,
interested in,
I
yeah, yeah,
sorry. I wanted to
yeah,
say one more. And because this again, I have to speak as if I'm speaking to myself when I was younger.
yeah,
Hearing the word activism used to kind of scare me. Like, oh,
mm,
are these the crazy people that throw blood on people or walk around naked? Like, that's not for me. So I want to clarify in my own definition of what activism is. Activism can be a lot of things. Like, I don't leave the house without a vegan shirt. That's activism. It's showing the world, hey, I'm vegan. You can be too.
yeah,
If you're vegan, let's be friends. If you're not, let's talk about it. It could be as simple as on a private or public Instagram account sharing a story, and it doesn't have to be slaughterhouse footage. It can just be a story about how happy this dairy cow was to be reunited with her calf and live out her days on a nice sanctuary. Like it can be any form of activism is still activism. You don't have to be on the street to
Mm.
change the world. Now, if you want to, I recommend you talk to Vegan for the Animals, talk to anybody that can give you some pointers and tips. But
Yeah.
your activism can be very, very, I guess, even a minimal form of activism can have a great outcome. So if you just speak up, even in those simple ways, that can really have an impact. And so
Ab-
I want to meet people where they're at. And my younger self would have been like, oh yeah, I
mm.
can share something on my story. I share stupid stuff on my stories anyways. I can share something
Yeah.
important and meaningful too.
Absolutely, absolutely, and there's no specific definition, or rather, there's no specific type of activism. So a lot of times, even I've come across vegans who are like, "Hey, I'm vegan for the animals, but activism is not my thing." So you have to. Everyone needs to understand this, that you can do any type of activism that fits your skill set, that fits your comfort zone, as long as you are making people rethink their choices, and that can come in any shape or form, right? For example, someone
Yeah.
like John working out in a gym with a t-shirt that is about animals and veganism, that in itself is such a powerful form of activism. And when people look at you and just break this barrier that, okay, so someone can be a vegan and yet be big, that's
Yep.
also a form of activism. Of course, there are layers to activism. Like it totally depends on you, what kind of activism you a person is comfortable with. There can be a bottom up approach where you're talking to people, individuals. There can be a top down approach where you are talking to policymakers and lawmakers to get policies which takes us closer to the vegan world, so on and so forth. So there's like there's whole spectrum of activism out there. And fortunately, or rather unfortunately, we are so far away from a vegan world right now that the ways in which one can contribute is actually endless.
Yes, it's a great parallel to talk about fitness. If you don't work out at all, you don't track your food at all, and you need to lose 200 pounds, doing anything will help, whether it's getting steps or going to the gym or cutting out
Yeah,
soda or
yeah,
tracking your calories 3 days a week. Anything will help. And right now, as far as for the animals, we're that 200-pound overweight individual that anything will help, literally anything. And people tell me, "Oh, I don't want to wear the shirts because I'm not big like you," and
yeah,
that's a fair response. But maybe your shirt just says like it's not like get jacked, go vegan. It says something like be kind to animals. And somebody sees you wear that shirt, and maybe they don't think, "Oh yeah, that's the most jacked person," but maybe they're like, "Wow, she had such a nice smile. She was so kind to me at the store. I wonder. I guess maybe the thing that I've heard about vegans isn't true." And it's a
mm,
little bit more responsibility. I got vegan on my car, on my forehead, on my shirts.
yeah,
So I can't go around and get in a road rage and flick somebody off or yell at someone if they annoy me
mm,
or get in a fight with someone. Like, I can't do that because then I make vegans look bad. So I
yeah,
think we all have that responsibility to do a little
yeah,
bit better, be the role models. And what a great privilege that is, to be
yeah,
able to have some sort of impact and raise people's awareness.
yeah. And I love that analogy. It's very fresh, that if you are super unfit, anything you do will help. It's a sad analogy because it just shows that how far away we are from a vegan world. But yeah, I mean, it fits here that whatever you do, because we are so far away from the end goal, whatever we do will be helpful in one way or the other, because there's someone who will be receptive to your form of activism.
Yeah,
And
I think that's another point is like, go talk to 100 people. I would
hmm,
say you're probably lucky if one goes vegan,
hmm,
but one still counts. One could change the next one. And if I was that one that went vegan, I'm grateful for it. It was a gift from me. And so it's almost like a sales job or asking people out on dates. You're probably going to get more no's than yeses, but keep trying. Don't just give up. Don't get discouraged. Um, and also too, like for me, I think getting a vegan world sounds almost impossible. And I think that maybe we will even get a little bit of pushback because people might say, well, what about like a tribe in Africa or South America that they don't even wear clothes, or is it bad for them to eat animals? And they'll go to that extreme. So what I tell people, my goal is to get rid of factory farming. If we could do that, and somebody in a tribe somewhere that doesn't wear clothes decides to hunt something to feed their family, that's a little bit different. It's the killing of 90 plus billion animals, land animals every year. That's what's destroying the world. That's what's destroying probably humans as a whole and a health perspective, both mentally and physically. And that's where the majority of the suffering is
Yeah,
coming from. So
absolutely.
that's where I try to hit people. It's
Yeah.
like, let's just get rid of that. And that alone, I think, will get us very, very close to where we want to be.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'll just clarify for the viewers, when we say vegan world, of course, at least when I say vegan world, that's the ideal state. And in practicality, we never achieve an ideal state. For example, um, probably 400, 500 years back, people would have wanted an anti racist world. We did away with horrible forms of racism, but and we also have a legal framework in place. Like that is the win for us. So we want something similar in when it
Yeah.
comes to veganism. And a big component of that is, one, of course, to ban animal agriculture, which includes factory farms, and that will, in terms of numbers, that will take care of most of the things. And also, predominantly at a large scale, for the most, for the majority of the population, people having this mindset that animal deserves this much amount of respect, that we don't have the right to exploit them, and of course having legal protection for them. And like any other social justice movement, once we have a legal framework, even after that, there are people who will still commit crime, right? And hence we can never say that we have truly achieved a world which is free from sexism, free from racism, so on and so forth. So some residual will always be there. But yeah, when we talk about a vegan world, maybe that world where there's no more factory farms, people see animals with respect. And of course, if we get there, that's the win for us. And irrespective, we are going to fight for that. I know that John and I are definitely going to fight for that for the rest of our lives. And another thing, John, you said that if we talk to 100 people and if one goes vegan, and that is also if we are lucky. I have a slightly different take on this, because as an activist, and I take activism training sessions here in India, and I know that a lot of times activists feel this burnout because of this low success rate. People think that, hey, I'm talking to 100 people and only one is becoming vegan. But then we also need to think that the rest 99, also you have planted the seed of veganism, and maybe you are not the change agent for them. But let's say you have talked to someone, maybe that person is thinking, and few days back they come across another video, a few days later they come across another video, and then another video, and then they listen to someone else, and finally they come across John's profile and see a video, and then they become vegan. So even though you are not the change agent for that one person, but set you started the things for that person, and then eventually that person becomes a vegan. So I always tell people that don't see the matrix of success as if the other person is going vegan or not. Rather see it in a way that whether you have communicated well to that person or not, whether you have planted the seed in a nice way so that the person has received the message of animals. And if that is done, then your job is done. Then you have done a good job. Move on to the next person, focus on this process, focus on improving your communication skills, focus on improving your activism, and eventually you will find that more number of people are becoming vegans.
That is a great point, and I have a couple thoughts that arose from that. I like that way of thinking because, again, psychologically, you don't want to get burnt out as an
Yeah.
activist, and it can
Yeah.
happen. Next, you're so right. You might help plant that seed because my friend, I mean, I give her credit for me
Yeah.
going vegetarian. I didn't go vegetarian that day. It probably took 6 months. It took 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, funny enough, I told the fish story, but I remember the last fish I ate. I remember after every bite, I would say thank you. And I got halfway through the fish
Yeah.
and I thought, why am I thanking this fish for dying for me? Why don't I just not kill it next time?
Yeah.
And I didn't even finish it. Probably feel guilty about that. But like,
Yeah.
it took that planting of that seed, it took that long for me to realize, like,
Yeah.
yeah, what the heck am I doing? And granted, I'll give myself a little bit of grace. That was over 20 years ago, and I was a child, and there was nobody else doing this that I knew. So I want to encourage people, build that community, find your people. You know, we met
Hmm.
online. We're doing this all virtually, but I feel a little less alone in the world because now we've got this connection.
Yeah.
Um, so it is planting seeds, like you said. My girlfriend actually, she became vegan within 2 weeks of us dating. The thing was, though, she
Nice.
was already researching veganism, looking into veganism,
Yeah.
cutting out certain meats, cutting out dairy from her diet. I
Yeah.
was just that last little thing. So I don't say I
Exactly.
helped Allie. I don't say
Yeah.
I helped Allie go vegan. Like Allie
Yeah.
made that decision just early on within meeting me, but she'd been working on it for a
Yeah.
long time. So that's a great point. I think another one is like my full-time job is coaching clients.
Hmm.
And I think I'm a pretty darn good coach, but not all of my clients get results.
Hmm.
But that's not on me. I give 100% attention to all of my clients. I give very good value and education, and I cover their training. I have them send me training footage. I send them meal plans. Some people just don't listen. Some people don't follow it. Some people fall off. And so that doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
a bad coach. It's like you said, I need
Yeah.
to deliver the best information possible. Not
Yeah.
everyone's going to be receptive to it.
Yeah.
Great point.
That is another great fitness analogy. I love this, John, that you are throwing one fitness analogy after another. And that is, again, very relatable, right? Like, your job is to become a better coach probably every day. But it is not on you if someone else is not taking accountability for their actions, right? So same goes for activism, because I want more and more people to become cognizant of this and not to give up on activism just because they don't see the numbers coming in terms of people becoming vegan because of them. Like in your girlfriend's case, right? You were the last step, but then something else, some articles, some thoughts, some person's words, some social media post would have been the first triggering point. From there all the way up to you, it was like there were small steps in between which ultimately did the thing for her. So that is very important to note for all the vegans. So please go out and do more and more activism. And coming to fitness, John, you said you are a great coach. I don't doubt that. That being said, I see a lot of vegans commit fitness or health related mistakes, especially when they become vegan. So I would like to ask you, what are the top two health mistakes that you see vegans make?
Okay. Um, Let me clarify. I'm going to talk health mistakes for vegans that are like lifting weights and actively wanting to build muscle. Because if
for,
you're just being vegan
for
for health,
both
there's a
for yeah, for both. Let's start with vegans in general, because there
okay,
also I see a lot of vegans make very petty mistakes. And secondly, probably we'll go deeper into vegans who are interested in hypertrophy and building muscles.
sure. So I think actually let me do this. Let me say maybe not vegans that are established, but people that try out veganism and then fail. Because I've run into a number of people, even in like the last 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I tried being vegan and I got sick and this happened and that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? Because like a whole foods plant-based diet is what America needs. Like two-thirds or more of us are obese. We need a whole
Hmm.
foods plant-based diet. So what were you doing? And what I found a lot of people do is they think vegan as a diet, so more plant-based, is to do like a lot of salads, a lot of vegetables. Like I even had a former doctor tell me I'd love to do the vegan thing. I love vegetables, but vegetables don't love me. And as far as like his digestion. And so I think that's one area that a lot of people really miss on is like just eating foods that don't contain animals isn't necessarily a balanced diet or everything you need. And if you jump into veganism eating salads 3 times a day and a lot of vegetables, you are going to miss out on some nutrients. It's
Hmm.
not very well rounded. Your calories, if you've never tracked calories before, your calories might be very low, and then of
Hmm.
course you feel lower energy and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think people just not ever taking the time to truly learn and track their food, and it sounds crazy to some people to track everything you eat in a day, but it's also kind of like another analogy. It's like saying, I want to get a nice house. I really
Yeah.
do. But I'm never going to look at my bank account. I'm never going to track how much I'm saving or spending. It's like, well, how do you expect to have a nice house if unless you have just great luck and have tons of money, the same as some people have great genetics and it's very easy for them to do some things physically. It's just not going to happen. So I recommend everybody, especially if you're new to veganism, track kind of what you're eating. There's free apps like Chronometer, the free version of MyFitnessPal. Plug your stuff in. You don't have to do it for your
Yeah.
life. Plug it in for a little bit, and you'll realize like, oh, these foods
Yeah.
have this, these foods have that. So that's a big one. Moving into the fitness side, a lot of vegans, and these are maybe more the established vegans that want to get into fitness,
Yeah.
they have misconceptions on foods in general. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's society's fault for saying things like beans have protein and
Yeah.
nuts have protein. And
Yeah.
yes, you would be correct. They have some protein, but when you look at the macronutrient breakdown of things like nuts, they're very high in fats,
Fat.
healthy fats.
Yeah.
You probably want nuts. If you're trying to really gain weight, nuts might be able to help. But if you're trying to eat nuts for protein, it doesn't work. I actually had a client and he wasn't tracking. The only thing he tracked was protein, and he couldn't find out why he wasn't losing weight. He was eating almost an entire jar of peanut butter
Yeah.
every night. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, well, there's 12 servings in here times 7 grams of protein. I'm getting my protein in since I missed it during the day and eating it like 2,500 calories worth of peanut butter every night. And I'm like, what are you doing? The other one, and this one's a little bit more new, it's starting to catch on with social media, saying things like beans and lentils aren't the best protein sources for vegans. And that's true because beans and lentils have lots of carbohydrates and they have lots of fiber. And
Mm.
so nothing wrong with beans or lentils. They are definitely part of a balanced diet. I recommend you eat some. But if your goal is to get a lot of protein and you do it through beans and lentils, you're also getting a lot of fiber and a lot of carbs. The
Yeah.
carbs depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to build muscle, that can be great. But getting way too much fiber, which often happens, I see it the most in the people that fall under healthy vegan trying to gain muscle. If you're like that healthy vegan and you're eating lots of unprocessed foods, lots of beans, your fiber count is going to get so high that your digestion is likely going to be slowed down. You're going to be gassy, bloated,
Mm.
and just not optimal. Like someone like myself eating 5,000 calories a day, I can't eat that many beans. Otherwise, my fiber is going to get very high. So I do things that people lose their minds. I eat a lot of white rice, and people are
You
like,
you
"What? No, white."
you consume 5,000 calories per day?
When I'm gaining weight, when I'm like in a muscle building
Yeah.
phase, 5,000's about right. I mean, there are days
Damn.
where I get closer to 6,000.
Wow.
But I'm 250 pounds and I've been doing this for a while. So yeah, like I just helped somebody on Reddit the other day. He's like, dude, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day and I can't gain weight. What's wrong? And I'm like, you said it right there. You're eating 3,000, you probably need like 3,500. You need more food, especially if you have an active lifestyle. And so I've found using reverse engineering. I looked at what the meat eating big bodybuilders were doing. Yes, they're getting crazy amounts of protein, but even more so crazy amounts of carbs, and usually things that digest well for them. So that might be white rice, rice cakes, bananas, dates, and there's some fiber in those, maybe potatoes, um, things like that, juices sometimes, really high carbohydrates, because I'm not even the biggest bodybuilder. Some of these big guys, they're getting over 1,000 grams of carbohydrates a day. So 4,000 calories just from carbohydrates each day. If they did brown rice, if they did quinoa, if they did beans, if they did lentils, no way, Jose, not going to happen. They're going to be digesting horribly. Their stomachs are going to be extremely bloated. They got to eat carbohydrates that can digest well and fast, move through them so they can get to the next meal. We're eating 5, 6 meals a day as bodybuilders. And so that's the one that shocks people the most. White rice. I love it. It digests well. It's cheap. And that's one thing I usually have people switch. If they're like, hey, I'm feeling a bit bloated, I'm having trouble getting all my food in. I'm like, well, you're eating oatmeal twice a day. There's a ton of fiber there that slows down your
Mhm.
digestion. Swap the oats for cream of
Yeah.
rice or white rice and see how it works for you. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say, like two pretty entry level common mistakes people make.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot to unpack, and I want to jump to some of the advanced stuff. But before that, let me
Yeah.
quickly summarize the key points here. one thing that you mentioned for people who are just transitioning to vegan or have become vegan, who have newly become vegan, is that they have to be mindful of their calories, and which is and a great advice, right? They just have to track how many calories they were eating earlier, and after becoming a vegan or coming to a plant-based diet, at the very least they need to consume similar number in terms of calories, and also try to keep the macronutrient ratios as it was before, right? And it's very simple to do it in today's day and age. You mentioned a couple of apps like MyFitnessPal, Chronometer. People watching in India, please check out Healthify Me. So there are so many apps like that, and like John said, it's very simple, and you just need to probably do it for 1 month or so, and then you'll then intuitively know that how much calorie more or less you are eating on a daily basis. But yeah, that's a great advice that people, so I put like this, that once people go on a plant-based diet, they eliminate food from their plate, but they don't adequately replace it, right? Even though
Yep.
in terms of volume it may seem like a lot because you are eating vegetables and fruits, but then in terms of calorie, you have you a person can drastically reduce their calorie, and that can then impact their energy levels and probably weight loss and so on and so forth. So that is for beginners, but then for folks who are into bodybuilding or trying to gain muscles, the advice is pretty much similar for them as well. But at the same time, they need to know and be very clear that some of the food which is traditionally understood to be high in protein, while they may have high protein content, but then you'll also have to see what else are they high in. For example, peanut butter, while it has
Yep.
decent amount of protein, but there's also a lot of fat in there, which is good fat, but then probably going beyond your macro levels, and that can be a problem. So again, one has to ultimately track food, I think more so than the earlier category, right?
Yeah, if you're just trying to be healthy, I think tracking calories and eating a pretty varied diet works for most people. If you're not trying to be a bodybuilder, you might not need to track your protein. In fact, like my brother is a great example. He has never tracked his calories or his protein a day in his life. He has no idea. He's a gymnastics coach, so he's pretty active. He gets his activity in, but he's an ethical vegan. He's not a health food vegan. So he'll eat potato chips every now and then, like chicken patties, like vegan chicken patties, of course. Whatever vegan fast food he wants, like stop by the Asian place, pick up some tofu. It's fried, but I've taken a look when he gets his blood work done from his doctor. I say, send it to me because I'm curious. I work with all these athletes and these vegans that are considerate about their health, and even some athletes that are not vegan. Like I look at all their blood work, and then I see my brothers, and I'm like, it looks great. Like, dude, you're fine. There's nothing you need to do different. And
Yeah.
he doesn't really track anything. I mean, he just kind of intuitively eats enough to perform at his job.
Yeah. But
And I think that's a great example.
he comes from a fitness background, so probably intuitively he knows that much, that okay, probably not eating the most healthy food, but still he would know that okay, I think I would have hit my protein levels by eating tofu, even if it's fried, and so on and so forth, right?
Maybe, but he's never focused on it. He's never been like me as a bodybuilder, like, oh, I need protein at this
Yeah,
meal.
yeah.
Like, like for him, like a meal could be like, I don't know, bread with hummus. Like that could be a meal for him. And like, yes,
Yeah,
there's a little bit of protein in the
yeah.
hummus, but like, it's not like a bodybuilder. And so that's, I guess, what I'm getting at is, I think the protein has been, it's been obviously in the United States, it's been pushed because then people say, oh, well, you got to get your protein. Oh, and you got to get it from meat and dairy. Like we
Mhm.
don't need anywhere near as much protein as we think we need. And I
Mhm.
myself, like case example, I don't recommend people do this long term, but for fun, I tried eating only fruit for a week. I was eating over 1,000 grams of carbs a day and like 60 grams of protein at 250 pounds. I was able to maintain my body weight. That was a lot of fruit. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking 30, 40 bananas a day.
Yeah.
But protein requirements for the average person have been really like people have been beat over the head that you need protein at every meal. You need these animal proteins. It's just not true. I think for the average person, even if you got half your body weight in protein, and had adequate calories. Now, if you're
Yeah.
getting very low carbs and very low fat and very low protein, that's a problem. But if you're getting adequate carbohydrates, adequate fats, and even half your body weight daily in
So
grams of protein, you'd be
so let's
fine.
so let's break it down. Let's say there's a person who's 70 kg, who weighs 70 kg, and has
Okay.
a sedentary lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, we would want them to exercise, but let's, for the sake of discussion, because I think that will cover most people. So 70 kg sedentary lifestyle. So what will the protein number be for this person?
So that's probably about 150 pounds.
Yeah,
Body weight is 70 kg, but around
yeah,
in that range.
yeah,
I would say for them, for general quality of life, don't go under 50 to 60 grams of protein a day. That should be enough. And if you
yeah,
eat a varied diet and you track from everything, because there's some protein in broccoli, there's some protein in potatoes,
yeah,
there's some protein in nuts, there's some protein in seeds, there's even a little bit of protein in fruit. If you
yeah,
if maybe they have one meal that has some edamame or some tofu or some tempeh or some soy milk,
yeah,
if they're eating enough calories to maintain that body weight, they're probably already hitting that minimum threshold of protein. Now, if
yeah.
they decide
So
they want to go
essentially,
to the gym and or yeah,
yeah, yeah. Before we go to the gym, essentially the number that you said 50 to 60 grams of protein, that falls in that typical recommended range of zero point 0.8 into per kg body weight, so around 56
yeah,
gram protein. So and that is what I keep telling people, that sometimes we overestimate the, how much protein we need, right? For a person who's having a sedentary lifestyle, it's very difficult to miss that number until unless you are on an absolute junk food, or you've gone out of your way to do something wrong, right? So
yeah.
and that's what you were saying, right? That if someone is getting the adequate amount of calorie, then more often than not they will hit that number of 50 to 60 grams of protein.
100%. Yeah, if they're just trying to be healthy,
Yeah.
live a long life, and
Yes.
be not demeaning, but be average, just like be an average human,
Yeah.
then yeah. And there's actually nothing wrong with being average. If you're 70 kg, I mean, that's actually probably way below average in the United States, but that's probably a good average for most
Yeah.
adult men to be around.
Yeah.
I have about, I don't know, 50 kg on top of that. I'm pretty large.
How tall
And
are
I'm
you?
above, I'm 6 feet tall, so I
Okay.
guess around 2 meters, I think.
Yeah.
Trying to do the, the conversions.
So
Um,
you weigh around 260 pounds.
yeah, about 250 right now. Yeah,
250. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've been as high as
Huge.
266, and the thing is, even though I'm vegan, it's still unhealthy. Like the human body's not meant to be that big, whether it's with muscle or fat. You
Yeah.
know, we still have the heart that we were born with, and that heart
Yeah.
has to move this blood around. And if you're 260
Yeah.
pounds
Of
of
course.
muscle
Of
or
course.
of fat, it's so
Yeah.
I don't tell people to go vegan for the health.
Yeah. I
There are
mean, yeah.
tons of health benefits,
Yeah. That
but
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. I'll just take this opportunity to tell people that, of course, John is a professional bodybuilder. So, him weighing in that range of 110, 120 kg, 250 pounds, that is probably in the range of where the pro bodybuilders at his height are, right? But that's like probably 1% of the population, maybe even less than that, right? So, that's exception.
probably less.
But yeah, but when he said that 70 kg, and let's say someone who's, let's take my height, I'm 5 feet 10 inches. So at that height, 70 kg, that means someone is not obese, so probably healthy. And if someone has a sedentary lifestyle and just wanting to have a general health, from general health perspective, then 50 to 60 grams of protein probably will be enough. But you would personally want them to probably go higher and also do strength training, right?
Yeah, so let's talk if you're just general health, why would you want to lift weights? Somebody might be like, "Well, I don't care about having big muscles." And that's totally fair. Like not everybody wants that. A lot of people don't want to look like me. I'm kind of extreme. But there's a ton of benefits to lifting weights or having, it doesn't have to be weights. You could do body weight fitness if you want. Basically, what happens when we put stress on our system, there's a response. And so by stressing our muscular system, our body is going to be inclined to build some more muscle. If you want to take time off the air, do some research, there's a lot of studies linked to long-term, like best health outcomes, like longevity studies. People that have higher concentrations of muscle mass, especially later on in life, they live longer, they live healthier. Also, especially for women, but anyone, um, our bones actually respond to strength training as well. So if you're a woman and you're like, I don't really want to lift weights, I encourage my mom to lift weights or to do body weight fitness because that strengthens their bones and makes it less likely for things like osteoporosis or to have a bone break later in life. So there's a lot of benefits besides just the visual appearance of having muscle. It's what can it do for us. Muscle also is a bit more expensive for our body to carry than like fat. It takes more energy to maintain muscle, so then that means you get to eat more. I love to eat, so being able to eat a little bit more without putting on fat, just have some more muscle, it'll help you do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in today's day and age, there is no contention that lifting weights, or for that matter, when we say lifting weights, it can also be body weight and doing calisthenics and stuff like that. But essentially, doing any form of resistance training is healthier and has a lot of health benefits. And that's why I keep telling people, especially vegans, please work out, so that we need more healthy vegans, because healthy vegans means that you can do activism with that much more energy and for that much more time. So uh, please, all the vegans who are listening to this, please go to the gym or do some sort of resistance training.
I agree. I think whatever your sport is or whatever makes you happy,
Yeah.
that. But also too, like the for me, I think the reason I go to the gym so much is for my mental health. I think it's way more than the physical side. I think it's a place where
Yeah.
I can be hard on myself, but in a way I'm being kind to myself. I'm carving out time out of my day. I'm
Yeah.
prioritizing myself. I'm doing something that's inherently good for me.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I work from home a lot, so it's just nice to kind of get out and sometimes see somebody else face to face. And
Mm.
it's a great way to be an activist too. If you wear the shirt, somebody's going to
Yeah.
ask you, no matter how you look, they're going to be like, but wait, where do you get your protein? And then you get that chance of eliminating that belief. And then also
Yeah.
too, like, not everybody's going to go vegan. The same as you brought up racism earlier. We
Yeah.
didn't cure racism overnight by getting rid of all the racist people. What we did is we slowly, and we still need to continue working on this, we slowly changed what people thought. Because at least in the United States history, people used to think, well, black people, they're not as smart. And so it's okay to
Mm.
be racist to them because they're not as smart. But once we can convince them they're just as intelligent, well,
Yeah.
then, it's kind of weird to be racist to somebody that's just as intelligent as me. So it's kind of
Yeah.
the same from this side on the vegan side. Once we could convince everybody that vegan food can taste good, vegan food can have protein, vegans can be fit, vegans can be fun and nice people. Once we convince them of all those things,
Yeah.
then maybe they would want to become vegan themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, in activism, I always break this down, that there is why vegan and then there is how vegan. Why vegan is always about the animals, but how vegan is all of these questions: that can I become healthy as a vegan, can I be fit as a vegan, can I be a bodybuilder as a vegan, and so on and so forth, right? And all of this addresses that part, right? How vegan, so that people do not have this blocker in their head that they can't be xyz, they on a plant-based diet while being a vegan. So yeah, that that is a great message for anyone who's listening, especially people who are considering going vegan and who are not vegans yet. Please note, and I think John is a living example, but yeah, you can achieve all your fitness goals, all your health related goals on a plant based diet in today's day and age. We don't have to kill and enslave and mutilate animals to do that. It's thing of the past. Unfortunately, it's still happening. But if you are listening to me right now, you have the potential to change.
100%. And I'll sometimes get pushback online. I recently got a comment on YouTube, and the guy said,
Yeah,
well, of course you can do this. You already have the knowledge and the background in fitness and
yeah,
health and nutrition to make this lifestyle work for you. And I was
yeah,
like, hold up. You don't know my story. I stopped eating meat at 10. I became vegan at 13.
Yeah.
I didn't ever look into nutrition until 15 years old. So for a couple years there, I'll be honest with you, I ate, I believe, a lot of French fries and salad without dressing at middle school because they had cheese sticks, they had pizza. Like back when I was vegetarian, I get the pizza with just the cheese, but the pizza either had cheese or cheese and pepperoni. So all that was out once I went vegan. So I literally had no clue what I was doing, and I turned out just fine. Like
Yeah.
I just ate enough calories to where I
Yeah.
didn't die.
Yes.
It's once you find that why,
Yeah.
you can figure out the hows. You can
How?
figure out every
Exactly.
how later on. But once you find
Yeah.
that why,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that it's and nowadays there's resources like this. There's this wonderful thing called Google. What's a vegan cheese or what are some chat GPT, but help me make some vegan meals that are high in protein. Like it is so easy right now. If you're able to listen to this, you have the tools literally in your hand or in front of your face to go be a vegan overnight. And maybe it takes you time to get there. Um, it, but really it's colossally easier now than it was 20 years ago.
Exactly. And I would like to add one more thing to that. Of course, the resources are so easily available, but one also needs to know that, please know that you are not unique, in the sense that there is a very, very, very high chance that someone who's very similar to you, in your body type, in your fitness goals, in your health goals, in their background, ethnicity, so on and so forth, who has already become a vegan. So you don't have to reinvent everything from the scratch. Just find that person, and it's so easy to communicate. And with vegans online, vegans are always there to help you out. So there are people from similar backgrounds who are doing what you want to do, and you can of course do that.
Yeah. I think we see it too now. Finally, we're able to see it kind of worldwide, globally, that this is viable. When we look at the Olympics, I think at the last Olympics, we had 8 or 9 vegans that
Vegans.
medaled.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: how many people on the carnivore diet medaled or even qualified for the Olympics? None. Like
Yeah.
clearly, that diet isn't performing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Whereas the vegan diet has proven that it can happen. I think in bodybuilding, it's still hard, like on the
Yeah.
professional level, to
Yeah.
get bodybuilders to buy into this because one, nobody's ever done it. So
Yeah.
why would somebody whose livelihood, whose career, whose financial income depends upon how they look and how they place, why would they try some diet that nobody else
Mm.
has done before? So that's kind of where I feel like I can try to model some of it,
Yeah.
but I'll be honest with you. I'm not the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm not even close. I'm one of the better
Yeah.
vegan ones, but my genetics, they're
Yeah.
okay. I'm pretty
Yeah.
strong. Honestly, I think I would have been a better power lifter.
Mm.
I'm a bit stronger than I am, like looking great. But my heart's in
Mm.
bodybuilding. I just love bodybuilding. But
Yeah.
what I can say is I've had some clients
Yeah.
do extremely well
Yeah.
as vegan athletes, even better than myself.
Mm.
Um, and so that's what kind of gives me hope. I used to wonder for a while, is this vegan thing holding me back? Like,
Mm.
like am I not as good as other people because of the vegan thing? And now seeing some of my athletes, like I said, I'll say I'm a great coach. I won't say I'm a great bodybuilder. But I'm a great coach, and I've had the ability to work with some people that have
Nice.
good genetics for it. Because think about it like this too. People forget. They think, oh, well, you just have to work out for a long time. You have to work really hard to be a good bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Well, of course, yes. You have to work really hard to be good at any sport. But um,
Yeah.
Shivam, you and we're probably not going to be pro in the NBA. We're not 7 feet
Yeah.
tall. No matter
Yeah.
how hard we work, we're still not 7 feet tall.
Yes.
And no matter how hard some people work towards bodybuilding, myself included, it doesn't matter if I've
Yeah.
done this over half my life. I just don't have
Yeah.
all the genetics for it, but I've worked with
Yes.
some athletes that do, and
Mm.
I'm excited over the next decade or so to keep bringing forth some
Yeah.
great vegan athletes and showing the world that we can not only keep up, but we can win.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, bodybuilding is a very nuanced thing as well, right? Which people who are not professionals, they don't realize that there's so many variables involved into it, genetics being one of them. Of course, there's hard work. There's also the role of how your body is reacting to external substances, so on and so forth, right? So it's a very nuanced thing. And yes, um, till date, if we talk about the biggest uh, platform in the world of bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia, I don't think there has been a vegan so far, but of course I'm hopeful that there will be in the future. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But yes, we have seen so many hinged vegans, like big vegans, and I'm sure that one of these days, probably John, one of your mentees will be the one representing veganism at the highest platform when it comes to bodybuilding. And it's possible, right?
I sincerely believe it's possible.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a Mr. Olympia from Brazil
Okay.
that actually won this year. It was either this year or late last year. So it's
Which
possible.
category?
Men's open bodybuilding. Yeah. In Brazil though,
Wait a
so it's
second.
just a little bit smaller. It's not the same as the world stage,
Oh, okay, okay,
um,
okay. Mr.
but
Olympia,
still,
Brazil at a country level.
cor correct at the country
Okay,
level. Yeah.
but that's still
I'm
huge.
not.
Wow.
It is still huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've seen it. We've seen some great competitors um, on the IFBB Pro stage that are vegan, and I have one vegan pro natural client as well right
Oh,
now. So we're seeing it more and more. And what I'll get into here, I'll be very open and honest for the listeners.
yeah,
I do use PEDs, performance
yeah,
enhancing
yeah,
drugs, but that's not because I'm vegan and I need to. It's because
yeah.
I wanted to be this 250 plus pound bodybuilder, and that's what's required. There's nobody my size
Yeah.
that's natural, that's
So
at this height. So
yeah. So John, before you proceed, because this is one thing which I had on my list to discuss, and I think this is the right time to ask this. How do
yeah,
you react to this statement where people say either vegans are not muscular or they are on steroids?
I understand. Yeah, a lot of people think that. Um, it's kind of this double-edged sword because if you're vegan and you use steroids, then people say, well, it was the steroids that did all the work. But what they're not seeing is like there are vegan natural bodybuilders that are doing very well. Actually, as far as that's concerned, I think vegans as a whole do better in natural bodybuilding because there's more of us there. Most vegans actually care about their health too, so they're
Yeah.
less likely to use steroids. Um, but then if you use steroids, even if you're big, they think that it's all the steroids. There's tons of big natural vegan bodybuilders. Go look up Brian Turner, go look up Nimai Delgado, go look up Corin Sutton. Those are all natural,
Oh,
very muscular vegan bodybuilders, but they're
I
not
would have
quite
not.
my size.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, they are more in the men's physique space, and probably more people would want to achieve that physique than that of a bodybuilder. But I
Oh
would have
yeah.
not guessed that they were natural.
Yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, Karen is currently an active competitor, and he competes in natural organizations, so he's tested. Um,
Wow.
I have no reason to believe that Nimai or and Tori also competes in natural shows as well.
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe that like Nimai is not a natural just based on his size. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he competed at a
Yeah. So
185 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So whether someone is natural or not, that is something we'll not get into the personal detail. But essentially, as an elite bodybuilding coach, you are saying that one can achieve that physique while being natural and vegan.
someone like Nimai or
Yeah.
Corinne. Yeah, I think that would be if they dedicated a decade
Yeah.
and spent all that time doing the right things, working with a coach,
Yeah.
making fitness a very large part of their life. Yes. On the other side, though, if you want to be 250 pounds as a bodybuilder, it doesn't matter if you're vegan or not, you're going to have to use drugs. And what I think, what I actually think might change the sport of bodybuilding, and what I've seen firsthand, I've not worked with any Olympians or top pros, but I have had several larger, I'm talking 240, 250, 260 pound bodybuilders not be vegan use drugs, and come to me and say, hey, my blood work is off. How do we fix this? I want to live a few more decades. And by switching them from not eating vegan proteins and not being vegan, by getting them on a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, their blood work improves and improves substantially. And so I think trying to get vegans to become top level pros, that's a pretty hard move. Like you got to have the great genetics. You got to dedicate your life to the sport of bodybuilding. There's not many people that want to do that. But if we have bodybuilders that we could convert to plant-based or to vegan, just if nothing else, even if they didn't care about the animals, if they only cared about their health, I think they'll be better off in the sport based on the blood work that I've seen and the studies that I've seen and things like the Game Changers documentary. Like if you look at blood work and compare on a plant-based diet versus an animal-based diet, I think that they could have more longevity in the sport and less incidences of things like heart attacks and kidney failure. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the future I'd love to see, a bunch of vegan bodybuilders.
Yeah. And also, like, if I can summarize this and put it in this way, you tell me if this I'm putting it right or wrong. Being a professional bodybuilder, there are so many variables that being vegan or not, or rather, let's say it this way, being on a plant-based diet or not is probably not that big of a variable, like compared to everything else. That's so many other things that a person has to go through to become a professional bodybuilder.
I'll put it this way. I don't think it's a hindrance. I don't think it would slow
Okay.
you down.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
and in fact,
Yeah.
I've used a lot of different variables as far as like drugs, like lower
Yeah.
dose, medium dose,
Yeah.
high dose.
Yeah.
I have found and worked with a number of coaches myself
Yeah.
that being on the medium to lower end of the drug usage,
Yeah.
my body responds better. My body will respond better to lower amounts of drugs. And I believe, I don't have scientific proof of this, but I
Yeah.
believe that if you are internally healthy
Mm.
and eating the right amount of food and recovering and resting enough and training enough, and but I mean by internally healthy, not taking so many drugs that you're unhealthy. When you're
Mm.
healthy, your body's like, okay, yeah, we can build some more muscle here. But
Mm.
if you do the same exact training, same exact food, and do triple the drugs, your body's like, oh no, we're starting to become toxic. We're having
Yeah.
too much drugs.
Yeah.
We're going to impair digestion. We're not able to handle this. So we're not going to build muscle right now. I've made more progress using less drugs than
Oh yeah.
earlier on in my career when I used way more. So that combined with the plant-based side, I believe has merit that people would actually be better in the
Yeah.
sport of bodybuilding because they'd be healthier, they'd have more
Mm.
longevity
Interesting.
if they were plant-based. So it's
Interesting.
not that like that's just one little variable that won't change much. I think it could actually change a lot. And with some of the recreational bodybuilders that I've worked with, that we've been
Mm-hmm.
able to fix their blood work and make them
Mm.
feel better and sleep better, it's like,
Okay.
I
Mm.
wish more people would do it, but everybody, of course, at the top level of bodybuilding is like, I need my protein. I need to have animal protein. This
Yeah.
studies show animal protein is more available. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, the studies might show that, but I also have living examples of people that perform and feel better and have set
Mm.
lifetime PRs on a
Mm.
plant-based diet. My girlfriend, for example, she's only been lifting weights for 2 years, and
Mm.
only one of those years is she now vegan. And on
Mm.
this vegan plant-based diet, she has built more muscle than she's ever had in
Yeah.
her life.
Yeah.
She feels better. Her skin looks better. Her hair looks better. I know
Nice.
ladies care about the hair. I mean, I got the green
Yeah.
hair, but like they actually care about their hair. So I love her as that example of somebody that's recently switched over and
Yeah.
still, even later on in life, she's now 40,
Yeah.
built muscle on this plant-based
Yeah.
diet. So there's a
Nice. Nice.
lot to it.
Great. Yeah. So essentially, at the very least, you are saying that it will not be a hindrance being on a plant-based diet, but probably intuitively you are saying that it could also be beneficial because it's inherently making you healthy, whole food plant-based diet. And when you are on so much of external agents, then which is unhealthy for your body in general, so
Yes.
probably overall there's benefit to plant-based diet. Of course, there aren't any studies published on this at this stage, but yeah, based on your experience, that is where you are at.
100%. And that's, people don't understand. They'll say, oh, well, this study says that, this study says that. When we have bodybuilding studies done, they're not done on the best bodybuilders in the world. The best bodybuilders in the world are not going to change their diet or change their drugs or change their training because some college or university wants to run a study on muscle building with steroid users. They're never going to, a top level bodybuilder would never give up their chance of winning at their career to go be a part of a study. So when people say the studies say this, it's like, but who are the studies done on? They weren't done on the pros or even close to pros. They're not done at the top level of people. So it's really hard to use those studies. And then again, how many top level vegan bodybuilders do we have to look into for that? There's not a whole lot of studies, but yeah, I do think that but the thing is, it's not like just go vegan or go whole foods plant-based and you're going to be a great bodybuilder.
Yeah,
I've
of course.
spent my entire career experimenting, trying different protein levels, different protein sources, different carb sources,
Yeah,
different meal plans, and finding what's worked for me and then a select few other individuals. So it's
yeah.
very nuanced. It's very, very
Very
detail oriented.
exactly. It's nuanced. It's complex. People don't realize that there's so much of fine knowledge that goes into it, and so probably a discussion for some other day. Just out of curiosity, because I've never asked this question, probably you are the right person to ask. Are steroids vegan? Like they are made in the lab chemically, is is what I know. So have you ever thought about it or
Great.
read into it?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm vegan for the animals. So if steroids weren't vegan, I wouldn't be able to use them. And then we have to get into the nitty gritty of what is vegan. So let's start from the
Mhm.
sourcing.
Oh,
Steroids, especially things like testosterone, they are artificially or synthetically created from yams and soybeans. So yams and soybeans are both inherently vegan. Um, a lot of the other ones are synthesized from amino acids, and that you like are steroids. We have different things. We have PEDs,
yeah,
performance enhancing drugs, and then
yeah,
one type of performance enhancing drug would be something like a steroid, like testosterone. But also we have things like growth
growth
hormone
hormones.
or other
Yeah,
hormones, and that's not a steroid, but it is a performance enhancing drug. Things like
drugs.
insulin. Um, so growth hormone, actually, back it was funny. It used to be HGH, human growth hormone. They'd get it from
Yeah.
cadavers back in the 70s and 80s. So I don't know if that's vegan or not. I mean, technically it's from a
Wow.
human, but now it's all synthesized. So at their like molecular level, things like that, they're not coming directly from animals. So the raw resources, I in my heart believe are vegan because they're not from
Mm.
animals. Now, people will say, you're not really vegan because steroids have been tested on animals. And
Mm.
that is true.
Mm.
Testosterone was tested on animals. It's been
Mm.
used clinically since, I believe, the 1940s, 1950s. So
Mm.
I don't believe there's current ongoing animal testing. But then I
Mm.
ask people like, well, okay, do you ever take Tylenol if you have a headache?
Mm.
It's like, yes, technically some of these drugs have been tested on animals,
Yeah.
but me getting them from a supplier that's not a pharmacy that manufactures these raw chemicals on their own and then sends them to me, they're not testing on animals. So
Mm.
again, it kind of comes down to yeah, I mean, I've used Tylenol before too. I hope that doesn't make me not vegan. I
Yeah.
think part
Yeah.
of being vegan is, you know, I drive a car, I
Yeah.
walk, I have feet, I step on some bugs.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
So when people get like that, I'm like, usually it's not even vegans that are making those
Yeah.
arguments, those claims. So
Yeah.
from my perspective, performance enhancing drugs um, don't incur any direct or indirect animal deaths to make them.
Mm.
So
Mm.
um, yeah, I view them as vegan.
Interesting. Interesting. And also, when we talk about testing, again, it's a more nuanced subject, animal testing, especially in pharmaceuticals, because while, for example, when we consume animal products, we are directly impacting the demand. But animal testing is done at a very early stage, even before the drug enters the market. for the most part, right? And that is one area where we as individuals, or rather we as consumers, we have much lesser power, if at all, if any at all, as compared to other food products. And that is one area,
Yes.
because we our power is limited as individual consumers. I think that is one area where protest plays a much bigger role, when you are speaking up animal testing, doing protest against this. And of course, more and more data is coming forward, that how unreliable animal testing in general is when it comes to pharmaceutical. But yeah, there are nuances to it, and we can deep dive into that some other day. But that's interesting, because I always had this query. I never asked this, and great to
Sure.
know that you have done your research. And yeah, um, yeah. So steroids, I mean, we'll not make this claim that they are vegan, but yeah, for the most part, one can get. I don't know. I don't know how to put this. One can get ethically sourced steroid. Please note that
Yeah.
none of us are advocating for it. Goes without
No,
saying.
I would recommend. A lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, well, you know how to use steroids? You'll teach me." And I'm like, "No, I don't want you to do this. Your goals don't require it. You
Yeah,
just want to get fit. You want to lose some fat. You don't need steroids to lose fat.
yeah,
If you're trying to be 250 pounds and jacked, and you've been in the gym for 10 years, and you tell me you're going to do it either way, with my help or without, then I'll say, okay, here's what I think is a lower risk method. But I
yeah,
never push. Not you ask every single one of my clients, have I ever said you should do that? No, I never once say you should do this. It's always I recommend against. Here's all the
yeah,
reasons why. If you're still
yeah,
crazy enough to want to do this, I'd
yeah,
rather you do it as safely as possible.
yeah,
And from the sourcing, the raw ingredients are all
yeah,
vegan.
yeah,
Now, if you have paid for like if I created like a super testosterone and wanted to make it usable on the market, and I say, all right, we're going to go test it on some animals, I don't think that's vegan. Um,
hmm.
so that wouldn't be vegan, like new testing. But all these drugs have been around, at
For a
least the
while.
ones that
Yeah,
I am
yeah,
familiar with, have been around for decades. There's
yeah,
no, to my knowledge, new animal testing, and I don't even get them for the majority directly from a pharmacy. I get them from individuals who make them themselves. So
yeah,
there's no animal testing done there. The biggest
yeah,
area that I've found is some sources like to sell capsules of oral steroids,
yeah, yeah.
and then it's like, there's probably gelatin in the capsule, so the way around that is just
Mm,
get tablets, and then the
yeah.
tablets are vegan. So it's a
Interesting.
great question, and it's funny because a lot of people think, oh, steroids must be made out of animals, and I'm like, I don't know why people think that, but I
Yeah,
guess a lot of people do. I
yeah.
get that as that's a very common question, actually.
Nice. I'll take this moment to just embarrass myself in front of you. I want to show you something. It's embarrassing because I'm showing this to you. It's on my social media profile. It's me working out, and I am someone who weighs slightly under 70 kg, and I'm, like I said, I'm 5 feet 10 inches tall. And even on that video of mine, someone has actually commented that you are on steroids. So the point that I'm trying to drive here is, apart I'm not it's not that I'm just trying to show off my workouts, but the point that I'm trying to drive here for everyone is that if if once you start working out and you start looking decent, there will be some folks out there who will always try to bring you down by saying, hey, he's a vegan but he's on steroids, right? And if someone can tell that to someone like me, then I'm sure that even all the natural vegans with good physique, they face this all the time, that hey, and that goes to my earlier query that I asked you, right? The earlier comment that I said a lot of time vegans get, that either vegans can't build muscle or they are on steroid. So I'll just show you that video of mine. Just give me a moment, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's funny. It's always that same. Somebody will comment on my post, be like, "Well, you're only big because you use steroids," and I'm like, "Well, it's not only that. Like, it's been
yeah,
my whole life. I've been working at this, and I eat a ton of food, and I train really hard. But here's a few natural people, including my clients, that I know don't use steroids because I literally tell them what to eat. I see their body weight almost every day, and they should be bigger if they're on drugs. And then as soon as I send one of their photos, the person will say, "They're on steroids too. They're just lying," and it's like. Okay, well, nothing will please you. You probably don't love the way you look, and so your way of compensating for that is instead of going on a diet and lifting weights, you just go online and make other people, accuse them of using drugs because they think that they couldn't do that on their own.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So this is a type of content which I generally do on my personal page. When people troll, I just take a screenshot and then put it out there with my workout. And on this physique, someone has actually written that you're on steroids. So so yeah, people will say all the garbage in the world to bring
Well,
vegans
first
down.
of all, I mean, I'm going to give you some credit here. You're relatively lean and you got some striations, and so a lot of people that don't know about what the human body is capable of will see some of those striations and think, "Oh, this guy has to be using drugs to look
What are
that way."
striations? Those
Um,
lines on my chest? Is that what you're saying?
yep,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
when you're so we have muscle fibers,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when you're like me right now, I'm a little bit fluffier. I'm eating a lot of food. Can't really see those striations as much. But when you get down to a low body fat percentage, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much just basically, it's not skin and then fat and then muscle. It's basically skin and muscle. You can see those fibers more clearly, and that's actually something that people look for in bodybuilding on stage. They want to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
almost like an anatomy chart, and so you got that going on. And
Yeah.
so, of course, this
Yeah.
uninformed individual thinks that you must be using steroids to look like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
um,
So when people say
I
that, I say thank you so much. I think that means I'm progressing. Yeah.
yeah, it's hard for me when somebody comes up and they're like, "Hey, I don't want to be disrespectful, but you're natural, aren't you?" And I'm just like, "Dang, I need to get bigger because
Yeah.
I don't want there to be any question." Usually
Yeah.
in person, people figure it out because
Yeah.
I don't look as big online because us taller, I mean 6 feet. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
taller, but usually you'll have guys that are shorter look bigger
Yeah.
online and then they look smaller in person. I'm the opposite. I look significantly
Yeah.
larger in person. I get that all the time. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know you're that big," and it's like, "Thanks,
Yeah.
I am."
And
But
online, it's also about the camera angles, the lighting, and everything. Like the video that I just showed you, that's probably under a very decent light, shot with a DSLR. So I look. Otherwise, in general, people can't make out that I work out. Though I work out on a daily basis. I go to gym 3 to 4 times a week, and I've been doing it for a very long time. And I like staying lean. I like
yeah,
to stay at around that 15% body fat, and I'm fine. I'm comfortable with that. And yeah, in your case, and this is another thing, another nuance of bodybuilding, that height is a disadvantage, right? So a person
yep.
who looks who's 6 feet tall, in person you would look like, if someone sees you in person, they will feel like you look huge, but on social media probably that doesn't come out.
Yeah, correct. Like if I was 5 feet tall,
Yeah.
I would look small in person, but I'd look so wide online that people think I'm
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I like it though. Yes, typically the best bodybuilders in the world have been a little on the shorter side.
Hmm.
Um, I'm
Especially the
grateful to
new
be as
age
tall.
ones, especially the
Yes,
new age
yes.
one in the open bodybuilding category. Like you see all the recent ones, they are in that range of 5'8", 5'9", somewhere near that.
Even I think Derek Lunsford's like 5'6" or 5'7". So
Yeah.
yeah, even a little shorter. But I'm grateful to be this height because I do take up a lot of space in a room. And
Yeah.
I, believe it or not, this might shock some people. I'm more of an introvert. I don't really like to approach people. I don't love to start conversations. I will for veganism, but in my natural human instinct, my dealing with bullying as a child, I kind of like to be small and not seen. And so it's kind of this weird oxymoron because I'm this giant bodybuilder. Um, I now have a green mohawk, a vegan head tattoo. I always wear this is a pink shirt if you can't see it, if you're just listening. I try to be approachable because then people will ask me questions about my physique or about veganism. And so I am a bit more of an introvert, and I try to dress in a way that gets me out there. And it helps that I'm tall and big, and also actually the green hair, because like there's some pro bodybuilders that are like, "Oh yeah, I remember you at that show." you're the green haired guy. And I'm like, dang, like I didn't even remember you, and you're a pro. Like I feel bad that I didn't remember them, but they remembered me, and it's like, all right, well I got some appearances to kind of keep up because now people will remember me and maybe listen to me if I look this way. So I'm glad I'm not just social media perfect height or bodybuilding perfect height. I like that I take up some space,
Nice.
even though I don't always see it. I still feel like I'm that 15-year-old kid that's been working out for a couple months. It's like 130 pounds.
Nice.
That's like my avatar in my head. Like there definitely is some. We look in the mirror and see different things, but I still think I'm kind of like that kid a lot of times. I think that's
Yeah.
if I were to give up bodybuilding and get some bad accident or injury, that's kind of more of what I would be. Is just that little kid. I think.
Yeah. You do have a very calm and an approachable personality. Like even talking to you, you give out that energy. Like very approachable. I think I would have not asked that question. I like the question on steroids because you were very open about it, right? Because generally I'm always confused whether I should ask a professional bodybuilder about these things, but you made me that much comfortable that I could approach you, and you have a very calm personality for a person who's that huge. So like a humble giant.
Well, thank you, and let me maybe elaborate a little bit. One, almost every single professional bodybuilder is on steroids, unless they're a natural professional
Yeah.
bodybuilder. There's two
Yeah.
different categories there.
Yeah.
For anybody that just isn't sure, and almost every professional sport, every person playing those sports, whether it's the MLB,
Mm.
NFL, I've talked to a number of these athletes. I know
Yeah.
they have to use drugs to be the best in the world, including the Olympics. Like, anyways, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation. Let's put it this way, Shivam.
Mm.
13-year-old me that went vegan would never talk to 32-year-old me now. He would be
Mm.
terrified. I would be terrified of who I am. I would never talk to myself. In fact, I'll be very open and honest. I'm about 250 pounds. I've seen guys at the gym before that I'm like, oh my God, he's like way bigger than me. I don't want to bother him. And then they come up to me and start talking. I'm like, dude, you're huge. How big are you? And they're like, oh, I'm like 220 pounds. And I'm like, whoa, I have 30 pounds on this person. But when I look at them, I'm still intimidated. I think they're bigger than me because I still think I'm that little 13-year-old kid. So I I'm so appreciative when people do talk to me because I don't think I would talk to myself. I would be like, "Oh, this guy's big. He's mean." Now, I used to wear all black. I'd shave my head completely and wear a skull cap. I looked like I'm in a biker gang or about to rob a bank. Nobody would really talk to me then. I looked kind of menacing. But now I wear the rainbow colors and the hair and stuff, and it's a little easier for people to come talk to me. But still, um, I think it's we see these big men, right? And we're like, oh, that guy must be like a warrior. He must be really tough. What I found, a lot of these big bodybuilders, they're just little kids that got bullied or didn't have very good parents or that have gone through some breakups or had a rough childhood. And so it's not that they're big and strong and mean, it's that they've gone through some difficulty or some adversity or they don't love themselves. So they try to build this armor. And that's really what the bodybuilding is. It's this it's well if I look big and strong, maybe nobody will try and hurt me today. And I think for me that's how this started. I think I was bullied a lot as a kid and for being vegan, but also before being vegan, just based on how I looked. So of course I gravitated to the sport where looks determine everything. I can't fix my face. I can't fix my teeth. I had long hair. People used to make fun of me for that, and I realized, well, I
Mm.
could build my body, and then
Mm.
maybe like it makes sense for me to go learn how to fight so people would stop like picking on
Yeah.
me. But I thought, well, if I get so big, nobody would want to fight me, and
Yeah.
now I have all these trolls that love to fight me and think that they're funny. And it's like, dude, I got bullied a lot in person. You ain't got
Yeah.
anything on top of that. Like, keep trying. But
Yeah.
yeah, most other men, I'll be afraid to talk to, and eventually maybe they'll talk to me, and I'll
Mm.
realize we're just these at the core. We're these kids that went through a lot, and
Mm.
this is our coping mechanism is building up this armor that we can walk around with. What I'll say now, though, on my own journey, and I know I'm getting long-winded, but I think bodybuilding gave me a lot of confidence to know how
Yeah.
strong I am, and also if I set this big goal and I work really hard, I've applied it in relationships,
Mm,
applied it in business. Um,
mm,
if you work really hard and you're consistent, and you have clear-cut goals, you can achieve a lot. And so
yeah.
I do think I would really hate it if I got hit by a car today, had a spinal injury, and could never lift again and went back to 130 pounds.
Mm,
I would hate that I don't have my armor, but I'd also realize all the hard work that it took to
yeah.
get here, and that confidence I think is notwithstanding of the body. I think I now know what I'm capable of,
Mm,
and it's nice to have the body,
yeah.
but I think even without it, those lessons are still there. So, yeah,
Yeah.
please, I'm an open book. Most of us are. Most of us look kind of mean and scary. But most bodybuilders, I think, we're fighting our own battles, our own demons, and
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with anybody else in the world. It's trying to learn how to love ourselves.
Yeah. That is such a relatable story for so many men, women, everyone who go to the gym because of some issues in their life, and who start going to the gym for some issues in their life to overcome some sort of insecurity, and then they gain confidence from that. And the good thing is, of that lot, there are some people who are more mature, and then they take that confidence to other areas of life, and then that confidence is independent of gym and lifting weights. And that is such a relatable story, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I have so many things to discuss, but now we
We're about at time. We might have to do
yeah,
another episode.
exactly. So I'll do some quickies here instead. So
Okay.
two supplements that you recommend most vegans should take, or all vegans should take.
Supplement number one, every human on the planet should take this unless for some reason blood work indicates not. Vitamin D. Every single client that works with me that is willing to get blood work, I have them do blood work. I've
Mm.
never had a single client come back with good vitamin D levels unless they were already supplementing with vitamin D. Vegan or
Vitamin
not,
D.
take vitamin
D for
D.
Delta. Okay. Yeah.
D for Delta, yes. That's going to be the biggest one. If you could only afford one supplement, that would be it. Second one for vegans, a lot of people would think B12, but I find most people get plenty of that through their diet. Again, this is me assessing blood work and seeing what people are deficient in. So outside of that, the second supplement that I would recommend, especially if fitness is an interest, it would be creatine, because our bodies do produce creatine on its own. You can get some creatine through red meat. However, to get optimal levels of creatine for muscle building, you would need to supplement. And then studies are now showing creatine may help stave off degenerative diseases like neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. So for brain health, also creatine. Those would be my top two. And they're both
That,
dirt cheap, so really no
yeah.
excuse not to take them.
Yes. And when you said B12, that most people get it without supplement, and that is probably because most of the food, um, or many food today, they are fortified with B12. So I think that's what's helping them. So that's one thing. And creatine, since you talked about this again a very stupid troll that I keep getting, that hey, where do vegans get creatine from? And I'm, especially given the fact that I'm based out of India, where red meat is not popular at all, I'm like, most dudes in the gym, they take creatine in the supplement from, that is creatine monohydrate, and that is
Mhm.
probably the best way to take creatine even if you're not a vegan. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
Yeah.
100%. I have clients when they start with me, they're not fully vegan, or some are on a high level bodybuilding and they don't want to be fully vegan. So I'll give them vegan proteins when and where I can, because my goal is to get as many people as close to vegan as possible. If somebody's like, hey, I'll do vegan protein shakes, but I'm still going to eat chicken, like at least they're not doing dairy protein shakes. But they still take creatine because they still see benefits from it, because there's no way to get optimal levels of creatine for performance through your diet. You couldn't eat enough red meat or fish. So, yep, vegan or not, creatine.
All right. Two supplements which is a marketing gimmick targeting vegans.
Ooh. All right. Well, you said targeting vegans,
Yeah.
but I think anything that's a testosterone booster. There's really no over-the-counter testosterone boosters
Okay.
um, that actually work. I used to work at GNC, so I know this.
Oh,
Beyond
really?
that,
Okay.
yeah,
And
back in the day, but
by the way, have you heard of ashwagandha?
I have heard of ashwagandha. I
It's
like to
it's
use it
it's
in my
a
clients.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's a huge thing marketed in India these days that it's a testosterone booster.
Uh, I haven't seen, I mean, okay, I'll get to that in a second. Ashwagandha can be great for stress relief, and I use it usually with my competitors
Yeah.
anywhere from 2 months before or 2 months after their show to help manage stress levels. Now, if your stress is high and you're a natural athlete, that might impair your testosterone. Taking ashwagandha might bring your testosterone back up to your natural levels. But the thing
But
that you
no
have to
direct
remember,
correlation. But don't no direct correlation that you take ashwagandha. Not ashwagandha. Actually, I wanted to say Shilajit, uh, or maybe ashwagandha.
uh,
Some of these herbs in India which are marketed as testosterone booster. So yeah,
So let's break it down. If your
yeah,
testosterone is being hindered in something, like for example zinc, we need zinc to produce testosterone naturally.
yeah,
If you are not eating enough zinc, taking zinc will help raise your zinc levels, which will then allow your testosterone to be produced where it should be.
yeah.
But if you have natural or healthy levels of testosterone, none of these boosters will work. And also,
Okay.
you don't really want them to work because if you
Oh,
have natural testosterone levels and you boost or increase that, like a steroid using bodybuilder like myself would, then your estrogen also raises and you would have to take additional drugs to combat that estrogen rise. So
hmm.
none of these drugs, now there are some prohormones, there's some gray area stuff that may boost your testosterone. And if it does and it boosts it in a steroid like using whey, then you might as well use the steroids because you're going to incur all the same side effects with probably less results. And you're starting to play with fire. If you're actually raising your testosterone, your estrogen will increase. You'll need to get blood work done to make sure your hematocrit, your hemoglobin, your creatine levels aren't increasing too much. So if you're going to like halfway use steroids, you might as well just use them or don't use them at all. None of those testosterone boosters work. The next one, I'll say most fat burners, and I don't know if that's targeted at vegans or not, but most fat burners over the counter, there's very little things that actually work to burn fat. You can take some caffeine. Yohimbine is one that I use in my clients, but most of these expensive over the counter fat burners don't do anything other than give you a rapid heart rate. So um, that's another one where if you're trying to lose fat, focus on your diet first. That's going to be the biggest impact. You can out eat any amount of physical activity. So if your diet isn't set up correctly, then you're not going to be able to burn fat.
Okay. So I'll talk about two supplements. You can give you quickly. You can give your views on that, which are targeted at vegans. One, I am seeing rise of vegan collagens. What do you think about that?
Mm. Well, I will be very candid. I'm sponsored by Veg Nutrition,
Okay.
and they just launched a collagen supplement. Prior to
Okay.
this, I thought collagen was really kind of just a marketing gimmick.
Hmm.
Um, I would say I am still, without with throwing my sponsor under the bus, still leaning towards it being more of a gimmick. I don't think anybody needs collagen to be healthy. Our
Okay.
bodies will
Yeah.
take the amino acids from the protein we eat and make them.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested. I'm trying it. I'm experimenting on myself. I'm not necessarily saying anybody else needs to do this. I'm trying to see if I feel my hair looking any better, see my nails looking any better after
Hmm.
using some of this collagen. And the veg one is sourced from broccoli,
Hmm.
um, and one other vegetable. I forget. So
Okay.
I don't think it's bad for you. I do think it's a protein source if it's vegan. But I it would be like the
Yeah.
bottom, the that last thing if you got all the
Yeah.
money in the world and you're just taking
Yeah.
whatever. But it would never be even on like page 2 or 3 of my list of supplements that I
Okay.
think matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very honest of you, and I'll not put you another spot because you are sponsored by a
Yeah.
particular supplement brand. But then I'm sure that you'll make up for this by promoting their plant-based protein.
Oh,
And
the protein is great. Yeah. I just the collagen it's not bad. It has protein in it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just don't know if it
it's
does
new.
anything special. I'll
Yeah,
report back once I have some more data,
yeah,
at least on
okay,
myself.
yeah, yeah. As of now, your position is clear, and you are candid about it, and probably working on yourself, and probably read some more literature around it. Your opinion can
Yeah.
change in few months. All right. And
Yeah.
what about vegan omega? What do you think about that? Algae based supplements.
So I've gone back and forth on that. It seems to be really hard. I'm not a scientist. I am not, I haven't been trained to read studies, but I have my own 2 cents, my own knowledge. And I've read a lot of studies. I've also then seen like a lot of stuff on omega-3 health, but then they're funded by uh, fish oil companies that make omega-3s. But then if you look at it, like you don't need fish oil to get omega-3s because the fish do eat the algae. So that is one that I think I have. I feel a little bit conflicted, but I have seen some positives for heart health from it. Now I wonder if it's like if you take the omega-3s or if you just get it directly from like flax seeds or
Flaxseed.
other or olive oil or other healthy um, plant-based fats.
Hmm.
I'll put it this way. I
Hmm.
take omega-3s for myself
Hmm.
because I believe that with the drugs that I'm using, they
Hmm.
may be a slight insurance policy against some of the heart
Hmm.
effects that I might be receiving from these drugs. So again, though, it's for your average healthy vegan. I don't know if they need them. I
Yeah.
don't think that they would hurt. But if like you said, hey, it's vitamin D or it's omegas, put your money in the vitamin D if it's down
Hmm.
to that.
Hmm. Yeah. In fact, I was making my notes on Omega, and because I do a lot of activism and I go into debates, so I was preparing my notes, and I was like probably a half an hour videos just sharing that with everyone. But yeah, there's again nuance to it. There are people who are like, yes, you can get your relevant amount of what is that substance that it converts to EP and DHA, if I'm not wrong, and that you
Hmm.
can get from flaxseed and chia seeds. Flax seeds mostly, if you are taking this many grams and then assuming it's converting, it's the conversion rate is this much and so on and so forth, then you'll come to that recommended dose of DHA and EP. I hope I'm getting this right. Just a moment, I'll just
It
DHA.
sounds correct to me. Yeah.
Yeah, DHA and EPA, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so essentially some conversion there, and then there was this another vegan who was saying that uh, um, looking at the looking at this in our blood marker, in like we check it at our blood level, but that is something which is not correct because body stores it and uses it only when it's needed. So even if you are seeing the levels from your blood, then probably that's not the good marker. So
Yeah.
conflicting notes around this. So I'm even I'm someone like you who takes it occasionally because I don't I like I just want to be safe that I'm getting my nutrient requirement, but I'm not fully convinced. So I probably have to do more research on that. And yeah, topic for another day.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm going to have to wrap up here.
Yes,
So,
yes,
um, but we could definitely do another one.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
very
You,
much enjoyed this conversation.
Exactly, John. I think this was such an insightful discussion, and I'm sorry if I got carried away. Sorry to you and the viewers, because this is a topic which is very close to my heart, and you are a great person to talk to. But that being said, there are so many other stuff, and maybe we can catch up some other time as well, where we can discuss the specifics about supplements and nutrients, and we can get some other folks as well, maybe from the scientific background, and then have a collaborative discussion around it. That being said, John, this was such a great discussion, and I would just request you to give one last message for all the viewers who are watching this.
I was going to be creative, but I'll stick with one that seems to work really well.
Yeah.
We do not inherit the world from our parents, we borrow it from our children.
Yeah.
I myself had a vasectomy, so I'm not going to have my own kids, but I have people that I feel like are almost like my children. And so when we have that mindset, I think it helps us determine how do we want to live this life.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to try to leave the world in a better place and try and empower other people to realize that they can do the same.
Yeah. That's a great message, and we should, and that's rooted in compassion, right? And that compassion goes for all sentient beings, for everyone, including animals. Thank you so much, John. I
100%.
hope you had a great time having this conversation with me. And until we meet again, this is John and Shivam signing out. Thanks to all our viewers.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me on. I'll just plug, I'm on Instagram, the Bodybuilding Vegan. If anybody has any questions that didn't get answered here, feel free to reach out. I'll do my best to reply to them. And Shivam, thank you so much for having me on, brother. It was no apologies needed. This is, I wish I had unlimited hours in the day. We could keep talking. We will do another one.